Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, January 8th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in a short-term pullback. If I look at the trend gauge over here, we still have market leaders under neutral, still continues to be stock pickers market in that aspect, and some good, some bad. So that's why it has the neutral arrow. Short term, S&P's trading below the 21 EMA. The QQQ is trading right about it, right at it. So we have that neutral. Medium term 50-day moving average, neutral as well, just hovering right around it, and the QQQ held it today. Long term, still holding above the 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Well, just continue to see heightened volatility and uncertainty. We got a new administration coming in, just a new year, and just the action has been very choppy. 21 over 21 list was down 0.51%, 7 green, 14 red. Big 8 was down 0.21%. RG8 was down 0.06%. And 60/40 up 1.23%. And then GROTECTION pretty much flat on the day, down 0.07%. So let's get into the charts today. As always, start with the chart of the S&P 500. And as you can see, if we just look at it like this way, this is the high end of the range. This is the low end of the range. So we continue to respect the low end of the range. We've tested this now like 5 times now. So if this level breaks, which coincides with this level is about 58.80, 58.70, that area, you can see it's been well-defined support. So if that breaks, could see some more downside, but overall, it's a very choppy market. So it's kind of the range. Each time we get into the upper end of the range, we come back down, and every time we've came down and touched this level, we've supported. So definitely a tougher market, and sometimes in this type of tape, kind of have to switch your mindset a little bit. The market isn't going to reward buying strength very much, and then on the flip side, if you're trying to buy weakness, you're going to be better off selling strength. So just take notes from what the market's showing you, and always try to adapt. But when you zoom out, look at the weekly big picture, still looks fairly normal. RSP, kind of in this range as well. That this is the upper end of the range, and this is the lower end of the range. And you could call this a bear flag, but we'll see. This is pretty decent decline. You have the 200-day support right here. So maybe we can wedge pop out of this little flag, build a higher low, and that would correspond with encouraging market breadth. The Qs definitely look better here. Can kind of say they're starting to flag out here. Held the 50-day, and again, just choppy, holding the bottom of the range, but each try to move higher has been met with sellers. So kind of just being patient here, letting the market sort itself out a little bit better. And typically, each year, you get about 1 to 3 great low volatility uptrend periods. And that's really where, yeah, you can really outperform and get your alpha. This is what one looks like. And then in here, you had this chop. This was another great period. And then we're coming off another great period. So that's always something to be cognizant of. Many of the legends also talk about this phenomenon in the market as well. And in these choppy periods, it can be tougher. But obviously that varies. If you have a lot of cushion in a position, then you can hold through a base. This is the Magnificent Seven again, still above the 50-day for now, just kind of chopping around. Dow Jones, a little bit of relative strength here today, and again, just kind of in this range. So see if it can wedge pop, get back above the moving averages. Mid cap, similar look as well. See if they can wedge pop this little flag here and build a higher low. Russell 2000, same look as well. Would love to see this get back above 2,300, but for now, still not great. But rates continue to weigh on small, mid, equal weight indexes. Are definitely holding up a lot better, and this just goes to show that like a lot of these ARC style names, like the Twilios of the world, the Roblox, Hood, all those are holding up pretty well. And this one continues to surf the 50-day moving average, so maybe this needs a few more days to week to to base out. It did have a great move here. FFTY, just for, kind of gauging the leaders, looks fine here. Just no real direction, just very choppy. The VIX came back down today, but still a little bit elevated. Would love to see this come down a little bit lower. The dollar, this another thing that continues to weigh in on the market. This thing continues to trend higher, and what a move. And if you've been watching our videos for a while, we were talking about this right down here. We were talking about a few things. Some of the most bullish patterns are failed bearish patterns. So, right, everyone, this looked like it was about to fall off a cliff and break down. It undercut and reclaim. And at this time, the commitment of traders reports, which takes the aggregate futures positioning, it was super, super heavily skewed short. And that's when you get that kind of news failure-ish. And this has led to a massive move. And for a while, it wasn't really affecting equities, growth stocks, but now we're starting to see that. And you can see this. I mean, this chart looks pretty good, clearing this huge range. So maybe like like down here when it undercut and reclaimed, maybe it look above and found comes back into the space. But it's definitely important time to be watching the dollar and some of these macro style indicators. Gold, starting to perk up even with the strong dollar. So these tend to have inverse correlation. So maybe if the dollar starts to pull back, this one's getting back above the 50-day moving average. We actually mentioned today, 2 to 3 gold names popped up on scans today during a conversation, and they have no relative strength recently, but they've been in base building period. So this is definitely something that's kind of back on our radar, and you can see this RS line is agreeing as well. Gold stocks, relative weakness versus gold, silver sitting right here at the 200-day. Bitcoin coming back down into the 50-day, and you can see sitting, right around at the 10-week here right now. So we'll see. This again, this was another strong move here. So maybe this just needs some more time to base and build out. Total bonds, just rates continue to be strong. These continue to get hit. TLT, same thing. Maybe this one starts to try to reverse, put an upside reversal today. We'll look, not too much, but did close in the upper end of the range. And with weak bonds, you can see rates, this is to take the ticker aside. This was a great looking flag pattern here. And then two ways, you always have TBT and then that TMV. These have been on big runs, and these are a way to express long there. Alrighty, so that's inter-asset correlation. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Stochastics on the index is very oversold, could start to hook back up. And then the percent of stocks above the 5-day moving average, you can see that's also getting down into that oversold area as well. So keep an eye for that. When that gets super buried, tends to coincide with the market starting to bounce. Markets are closed tomorrow, and then the other big thing is employment data on Friday. That could also be another market moving piece of data. Going into today, we were watching the S&P versus the 50-day, still not convincingly getting back above. QQQ still below the 21, but holding the 50-day. 10-year continues to be strong. The dollar continues to be strong, and those inflation worries. Day count, kind of consolidation, 13, 2 days below the 8, 2 days below the 21, and basically the action today, just very range bound day. It was like an 80-point range today. But on the bright side, that 58.70 level continues to hold. Sectors wise, natural gas continues to be strong. That's coming out of a big picture bottoming base, and you can see the strength. EQT, which we hold in GROTECTION, that's a way to capture. And then you have other names such as KMI, LNG, AR. Those are other names that you can capture that, and oil. Home builders getting a little dead cat bounce. Gold, I mentioned. Financials, probably the catalyst for there is banks always kick off earnings, so keep an eye there. Software trying to bounce as well. Weakness, Bitcoin, semiconductors, biotech, utilities, regional banks. In-house today, we trimmed NVIDIA, Google, and Bitcoin. So RVAB is down to 1.06 and balance at risk is 3.20. Bottom line, market faces heightened volatility and uncertainty. So let's take a look at the 21 over 21 list and some charts. So I own Q. So I didn't include this in the tally on the home screen just because this was down 40%. It would skew the whole 21 over 21 list. But you can see Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, basically came out and said quantum computing's at least 15 years away. And as you can see, these things got smoked. Many of these companies are running on little to no substance, and now they're kind of coming back to earth. Can take a look at another one, RGTI down 45% on the day. So you can just see, I mean, it's another thing that's can be a little bit worrisome with the market, and especially um, when you see all these highly speculative stocks start running, dominating the volume on the major exchanges, that sometimes tends to be a sign, and even if that coincides with some leaders breaking down as well. So that's something to keep an eye out. The great William O'Neill talks about this exact phenomenon in his book as well. CRDO looks great. This one's holding up really well. Just, hard to go when the market's weak and very volatile, but this is definitely looks really good. And if this can take out here, this, definitely acting like one of the leaders right now. Covered Bitcoin, Palantir. This is an example of one of the main leaders that's pulling back, but at the 50-day, and eventually every stock, your risk is always to the 50-day at least. So here it is, and see if it holds. If it can hold and reclaim, that'd be great. Bros consolidating at the highs looks pretty normal, acting fine. ALAP pulling back to the 21. Historically, in this run, this has been every time it's pulled back to or near the 21, it's been met with buyers. So we'll see if that continues, or else you could look at it as a bit of a character change. Rock Lab held the 21. This one has had a huge run, so wouldn't be surprised to see this just continue to range bound, chop around. RBRK, this one's leaking off, trying to hold this earnings gap day lows, struggling here, and lack of RS lately. VST, this one's acting really well. These probably some of the best acting names right now are coming from alternative energy and this utility electric power, the stocks that, fuel the energy needs for data centers. And this one's starting to build a cup and handle base. This one looks great. Square starting to leak off, lose the 50-day. Doesn't help that Bitcoin's weak as well. Google consolidating here doesn't look bad. This one didn't get hit. Obviously, that Willow and all the quantum computing stuff. You would have maybe thought that this one would have got hit harder after Jensen's comments, but this one's holding up decently. This one's kind of starting to handle out here. GEV, another one in that alternative energy industry group that pulled back to the top of the base, undercut it, and closed back above. This one looks great. Amazing numbers moving forward, and this name's big for the data center rollout. APP, this is another one of the best leaders in the past few months. Basically in this tight range here. Could say it's basing, or you could say this is kind of a bear flag, but the 50-day is catching up with support. And you can see a lot of these RS lines are just sideways after some just strong runs up. And that's just a function of the market right now. And it's very choppy and not much alpha in individual stocks at all right now. Reddit pulling back to the 21, very similar to ALAB. Any pullback at or near the 21 has in this whole run been met with buyers. So we'll see if that regime continues. NVIDIA, obviously yesterday was a brutal day for this one, but this has got like a power three setup here. You got the 821 and 50-day moving average all really coiled up here. So we'll see if it can hold, or this could be a failed breakout. Time will tell, but just a lot of volatility. Ralph Lauren, this one's non-traditional growth type stock, but in this apparel group, breaking out of this nice base. And there's some other strong names in this group as well, I believe. Deckers is holding up pretty good. Owen Owens holding up pretty good. Victoria's Secrets, that one's pulling back to the 50-day. A&F was looking all right, just in a big range here, but that's a decent looking industry group right now. Avgo, holding up pretty well after this earnings gap. And like I said, kind of the common theme of this video, and as I go through names, some names to me they just look like they need more time. They're not really set up to just blast higher. Although, I mean that could happen on Friday, but that's not what it looks like to me. So just kind of being patient and watching how the stocks act. Twilio, this one looks good as well, consolidating at highs. Showed Decker's Marvell, not bad action here, holding the 8 and kind of building the space here. EQT, great action from these natural gas names. You can see huge, like this is a huge weekly base pattern shaping up here. Look at some other ones. AR, decent action from this one as well. And then you've got KMI, another one. LNG's another one. So definitely seeing these names rise to the top with some of these more growth stocks taking a breather. And then CLS, this is probably one of the strongest stocks in the market right now. We've had it on our 21 over 21 list for some time now. Never really found our way into this one, but again, this one is breaking out of this midi base consolidation up here. And you can see this weekly has just been on a really, really nice run. So that's the 21 over 21 list. Let's take a look at the big eight. Microsoft kind of no man's land, just in a huge range. Apple pulling back to the top of this base and the 50-day, so decent risk to reward there. Tesla, not bad. Just continues to make lower highs here, but maybe that can change. But zoom out to the weekly. This is holding the 10-week for now. Would love to see this come back and reclaim 400 with some volume. Amazon looks pretty good as well, kind of consolidating here at the highs. Showed Nvidia and Netflix pulling back to the 50-day. Google I showed, Meta, another good looking one. So, even a lot of the big eight, you're just seeing a lot of chop, and that's just kind of what we're seeing in the market right now. Not a lot of alpha in individual names and just chop overall. Um, so we're just taking it day by day, letting the market tell us. In a choppy environment, I think it's best to, size down a little bit and be a little bit more patient with trades. Let the market tell you, because in this period, it was pretty obvious that the market was healthy, leadership was working, and just everything was going in favor of the bulls. Now here, it's definitely not that clear. So let's continue to let the market guide us and taking it day by day. So that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. And then you can always reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855 Real Wealth. That is 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. And with that, I'll wrap it for Wednesday, January 8th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great evening.